Seoul Land 253 Original Novel DouLuo DaLu. Chapter 286. Clear Sky School Divine Ability, Great Zumuru Hammer. TL by Bagelson. Tang San's own final words was that there was only one way to break through Jialing Pass. This immediately made Xuebeng's eyes shine, impatiently asking more. As Xuebeng saw it, this time they were throwing in all the national strength of the Heaven Do Empire, and cooperating with the Star Luo army, to smash the Spirit Empire before they had stabilized. Otherwise, if they let the Spirit Empire truly flourish, with their numbers of Spirit Masters, it would be a disaster to the two empires. Seeing the army blocked by Jialing Pass, how could he not be anxious? As long as they broke through Jialing Pass, the Spirit Empire wouldn't have any way to defend. In terms of full strength, it was impossible to compete with the two great empires. Tang San glanced at the Black Sea God trident in his hand, then looked at Xuebeng. Your Majesty, this method must be kept confidential. I can only tell you alone. Xuebeng looked distracted, but nodded at once, speaking to everyone in the tent. All officials go take your rest. Even though the crowd was a bit suspicious, and even more curious over what method Tang San had, his strength had already given rise to a somewhat blind faith. Listening to him was already a confidence boost. Nobody had anything to say, and they immediately withdrew. Marshal Ji Long also looked deeply at Tang San before leaving the big tent. Just as Tang Hao and Tang Xiao was about to leave, they were stopped by Tang San. Uncle, father, teacher, my method requires your cooperation. You should all know it. Grandmaster looked at Tang San with burning eyes. Little San, if I'm not mistaken, you should be talking about rank 100 godhood. To Grandmaster, Tang San never had to hide anything. He'd long since told this father-like teacher all about his encounters on Sea God Island. Listening to Grandmaster, Tang Hao and Tang Xiao's eyes revealed sudden understanding. Only Xuebeng still looked perplexed. Tang San said, Your Majesty, you're also a Spirit Master. You of course know that with every 10 ranks, a Spirit Master's strength will leap up by obtaining a Spirit Ring. Xuebeng nodded, his puzzled eyes gradually growing clear. His eyes opened wide with shock. Teacher, you mean, rank 100? Tang San said. To Spirit Masters, breaking through rank 90 is already a lifelong dream, becoming title DouLuo. When the Spirit Empire was still Spirit Hall, all title DouLuo could leave their name in DouLuo Palace. But, title DouLuo really isn't the limit of Spirit Master cultivation. The true limit is divinity. It's also breaking through rank 100 spirit power. Rank 100 is the biggest barrier. If you can break through it, even facing several dozen title DouLuo at once isn't a problem. You should also know that I was far from as strong as now when I left a few years ago. Actually, it's because I found the inheritance once left behind by a god. Becoming his successor is also a chance to attack rank 100. This trident is the weapon he bestowed me. And his divine name was Sea God. Today I formally relied on the Sea God's power to turn the moat water into my attack. But, I still have the last 2 trials left before becoming Sea God. The method I spoke of is to go complete these last 2 trials. If I really do become Sea God, then breaking through Jialing Pass wouldn't be a problem, the entire Spirit Empire might not have the power to stop me. Tang San explained his thinking in the simplest way, but what he said really was too strong a blow to Xuebeng. As an emperor, he had already reached the apex of humanity. Now he suddenly heard that there really were gods, he was completely paralyzed with shock. Teacher. Gods really exist? Omnipotent gods? Immortal gods? Xuebeng's voice shook a bit, his eyes scorching hot as he looked at Tang San. Tang San sighed inwardly. In the end Xuebeng was still an ordinary person. Don't overthink it, Your Majesty. Actually, gods are like DouLuo, it's all just a title. The meaning of gods indicate powerful humans, humans that far exceed ordinary people. It's not really omnipotence. As far as I know, at least 3 gods have already appeared on the DouLuo continent. If they really were immortal and omnipotent, then by now the DouLuo continent should be under their rule. How could there be a Star Luo Empire, or a Heaven Do Empire? Listening to Tang San's explanation, Xuebeng gradually calmed down. But the light in his eyes was still continuously flashing. Teacher, can't you tell me just how strong gods are? Tang San shook his head. I don't know either. There might not be anyone who could explain it to you. Because our world no longer has any gods. But, after breaking through the rank 100 bottleneck, one's strength will definitely increase. That's why I'm saying that, if I can become sea god, I'm sure I can help your majesty break through Jialing Pass. Xuebeng pondered. Then teacher, how long will you be gone, and how large is the chance of success? I don't want you to take chances for the sake of the empire. Even though he was still shocked by what Tang San said, he could still fully imagine what a challenge it would take to break through rank 100 and become a god. It absolutely wouldn't be so easy. Looking at Xuebeng, Tang San couldn't help secretly sighing. Even though he was concerned for him, that red-hot gaze still betrayed what he truly thought. But it was difficult to blame him. If the Heaven Dou Empire had a god-level power, unifying the continent would no longer be a dream. Besides, he was still his titular disciple, it was impossible for him not to thirst for the god level. He immediately smiled calmly. No need to worry, Your Majesty. I'm at least 70% sure I can succeed. I'll be gone at least a month, no more than 3. I will definitely return. Xuebeng's expression recovered somewhat, speaking hastily. Since that's the case, the empire's future will rely on teacher. Teacher, whatever you need, don't hesitate to speak. We will agree without exception. Only, with you away, our army might. Tang Hao said calmly. Don't worry, Your Majesty. With us here, if we aim to avoid making mistakes rather than getting the best results, it will be difficult for the Spirit Empire to have their way. Xuebeng looked at Tang Hao, and breathed out as he thought of the terrifying might he showed on the walls earlier. Since that's the case, then we will trouble teacher. Teacher, when are you preparing to leave? Tang San said. I will set off with my comrades once my condition has improved a bit. Inheriting the sea god's position still requires the help of my 6 companions. Tang Hao, Tang Xiao as well as Grandmaster all followed Tang San back to his tent. Little San, are you really planning to go inherit the sea god's position? Grandmaster asked somewhat worriedly. Tang San sighed softly. Teacher, you know I have no other choice. Not only because of this war. The Sea God 9 trials was something I had to finish from the start. Only I didn't think it would be this soon. The Spirit Empire is formidable. Our present strength is far from enough to confront them. If Jian Daoliu comes, even defending would be difficult. Tang Hao frowned. Reaching rank 100 and becoming god is so difficult, even your great-grandfather didn't manage it after so many years, even changing into that appearance in Slaughter City. Little San, you're still young. I don't want you to advance prematurely. Didn't you say this 8th trial had 5 years? You still need more resources. Tang San's eyes showed a resolute expression. Dad, I understand that you are all worried for me, but I'll still face what I should face. I can imagine that god-level power is definitely terrifying, even if my spirit power rises a bit it might not make too much difference. It would be better to just break the cauldrons and sink the boats, and take advantage of my current need for strength to forge ahead. My circumstances are different from great-grandfather's. I've already passed 7 sea god trials, and I have the help of the sea god trident and my comrades. I didn't exaggerate when I told Xuebeng I had 70% chance of success. Also, don't forget that I have twin spirits. Before inheriting the sea god's title, I'll first finish adding spirit rings to the clear sky hammer. The sea god's light allows me to completely absorb the attributes added from upgrading the twin spirits. In terms of my physique, I've already surpassed the human category like this. Therefore, I believe I can definitely succeed. Tang Hao slowly nodded. Since that's the case, then you have to succeed. This isn't only about you, there's no relation between the Heaven Dou Empire and us, and I can't take revenge on the Spirit Empire. But you must keep in mind you are the son of me and your mother. You're also Grandmaster's only disciple. Tang San felt his heart warm. His father's big hands grabbed his shoulders. Surging heat slowly flowing into him, nourishing his energy channels. Roused by Tang Hao's spirit power, Tang San's recovery speed instantly rose a bit more. Grandmaster nodded repeatedly as he listened to Tang Hao. Clear Sky DouLuo is right. In our minds, your life is number 1. The rest is all empty. I still have one thing to remind you about. Little San, today you also saw Clear Sky DouLuo break that rank 98 spirit power Spirit Empire priest with the Clear Sky hammer. Do you know why? Tang San was distracted, looking at his father. Tang Hao had now already sensed Tang San's physical condition, and stopped infusing spirit power. After all, his spirit power really wasn't of the same origin as Tang San's mysterious heaven skill, and Tang San's condition was moreover much better now. Tang Hao couldn't help secretly sighing, his son's body really wasn't completely human anymore. Tang San pondered. Dad, back then you didn't use any spirit abilities, only spirit avatar later, but still broke Golden Crocodile DouLuo's defense. I was behind you and could feel that, after you used spirit avatar, the force was terrifying. Not just the weight, that explosive strength too. With each swing, combined with your imposing manner, it felt as if the opponent had no way to resist. If it was me, I might not have been able to block either. There might have been some chance by relying on the Sea God Trident's weight. This moment Tang Hao looked towards Tang Xiao to the side, his gaze questioning. Tang Xiao nodded. Teach him. Besides Little San, who else would be authorized to inherit the Clear Sky DouLuo's secret skill? Besides, even grandfather gave Little San the Clear Sky warrant. This means he approves of it. Little San will face even more in the future, teach him and he'll have another way to defend himself. Tang Hao nodded, and Grandmaster smiled slightly from the side, apparently having already anticipated this scene. Then I'll leave first. Tang Xiao chuckled, patting Grandmaster's shoulder. Grandmaster, you have gone to a lot of trouble for Little San. Don't go calling us DouLuo later. Without you, there would be no Little San today. Hereafter you'll be our brother, let's get along. Grandmaster smiled. Then deference is definitely no substitution for obedience. Even though Tang San was curious what his father would teach him, he still addressed Grandmaster first. Teacher, I'll trouble you to arrange other accommodations for the Clear Sky School disciples, not close to my Tang sect's disciples. Grandmaster naturally understood what he meant. Even though they had fought side by side today, the old grudges the four single attribute clans had towards the Clear Sky School were too deep. They absolutely weren't that easily solved. Tang San didn't have the time to deal with this right now, and could only separate them to avoid conflict. Also, in the recent battles the Tang sect disciples had become even more convinced by Tang San, and as long as there were no special circumstances, the four clan chiefs would definitely hold back the disciples. Grandmaster and Tang Xiao left the tent, at the same time also blocking Ayan and Xiaowu who had gotten the news, keeping them from entering. Inside the tent, only Tang San and Tang Hao, father and son, remained. Tang Hao sat down cross-legged in front of Tang San, regarding his son with a burning gaze. For as long as our Clear Sky School has existed, a kind of special cultivation technique has been passed down. This cultivation technique has been passed down with each generation of disciples, and the day they broke through rank 90, they would possess the Clear Sky title. This is also the origin of the Clear Sky DouLuo. And practically all the sect disciples that possessed this title have become sect masters. At this point, Tang Hao's eyes dulled a bit. Speaking of, this stopped with me, it's just with my generation that this tradition didn't continue. Back then my grandfather, the last generation Clear Sky DouLuo Tang Chen, even though he passed the sect master position to my father, your grandfather, he didn't teach him the Clear Sky DouLuo's exclusive cultivation technique, instead skipping a generation to pass it to me. Whether grandfather or father, at that moment they both chose me as the Clear Sky School's next successor. I didn't disappoint them either, constantly breaking the Clear Sky School's spirit power leveling records, becoming the Clear Sky School's, and even the entire continent's youngest power. Tang Hao's eyes suddenly grew a bit gentler here. Looking at his son, he revealed a proud expression. Of course, you've already broken the records I once made. I'm very gratified, and also very ashamed. I was never a good father in the past. What grandfather did for you is all better than me. Dad, what are you saying this for? If not for you, there would be no me. Didn't I say that the favor of one's parents' raising is something children can't repay in a lifetime? Besides, it wasn't by your choice. If it was me, I might not have done any better. Tang Hao sighed deeply, gratified. Fine, let's not mention it. Our Clear Sky School's special cultivation technique can only be inherited by one person in a generation. It's not out of jealousy, but rather because the demands on the cultivator are extremely high. There's absolutely no way to cultivate it without superlative talent, on the contrary it's fatal danger. This cultivation technique is known as Great Sumeri Hammer. Tang San looked distracted. He knew that Sumeri 1 and Mustard Seed were antonyms. Sumeri represented the meaning of infinitely large, and Mustard Seed infinitely small. Just like his purple demon eyes, third level Mustard Seed indicated it could see infinitesimally small objects. And the meaning of this clear sky hammer's Great Zimuru hammer clearly indicated a kind of hammer technique that could show infinitely large force. Tang Hao didn't rush to explain, only quietly waiting for his son to digest the words Great Zimuru hammer. After a long time, he said, "Actually, your original cultivation route, plus that sea god trident of yours, is already sufficient. But I've thought carefully about it, and the Great Zimuru hammer is still very effective for you. You already have enough abilities, whether spirit rings or spirit bone abilities. And your clear sky hammer has just started getting spirit rings. Before going to inherit the sea god you still need to even the spirit rings. Then, your clear sky hammer will have several more spirit abilities. Even if you're a control type spirit master, it's impossible to instantly perfect all your abilities, and the Great Zimuru hammer can help you simplify it." Light flashed in Tang San's mind. "Dad, don't tell me your strength and imposing manner is all from spirit rings." Tang Hao smiled with satisfaction. "Worthy of my son, you saw through it at once." "That's right, in some sense, my strength is taken from spirit rings. Let alone that golden crocodile DouLuo today, after my strength recovered, even if DouLuo came in person, he still might not defeat me. Back when I had just broken through rank 90, I relied on Great Zimuru hammer to break through the encirclement of numerous Spirit Hall powers, and even seriously injured that generation's Spirit Hall Supreme Pontiff. You can imagine how formidable our Clear Sky School's absolute skill is. The Great Zimuru hammer, in theory, is to condense all your spirit rings together and completely infuse them in the Clear Sky hammer, becoming pure force and offense, geometrically multiplying its force, forcefully breaking through the limits and displaying strength surpassing your spirit power, walking the road of suppressing the skill of 10 with force alone. No matter how many spirit abilities the opponent has, no matter how many skills, none can compete with the purest force and offense of my Clear Sky hammer. In theory, the force of the Clear Sky DouLuo's Great Zimuru hammer is infinitely large. Moreover, the Great Zimuru hammer also has a formidable ability. Relying on this ability, even DouLuo would have to give way. Back then I used just this Great Zimuru hammer's special ability to injure the last generation Supreme Pontiff Jian Sunji. Only, this ability causes enormous harm to the user, it can't be used other than in a crisis. Only, your physical strength surpasses that of ordinary people, you should be able to bear it. If you can become Sea God, then you should be able to perfect this skill. Your great-grandfather once said that our Clear Sky School's Great Zimuru hammer should be a divine ability. Divine ability? Tang San was stunned. Looking at his father, he felt shocked. Tang Hao sternly said, "A formal divine ability, your great-grandfather said that, only by breaking through rank 100 is there a chance of perfecting the Great Zimuru hammer. With your present strength, you don't need to train painstakingly. I'll teach you the cultivation technique, and after you've memorized it, it won't be too late to cultivate it once you've recovered." In the tent, the voices abruptly disappeared. Tang Hao relied on his superlative spirit power to compress his voice, slowly teaching Tang San the Clear Sky School's divine ability. With Tang San's mental strength cultivation, he only had to hear it once to memorize it. After he read the mnemonic chants once, he couldn't help turning pale with fright, almost losing control. Isn't this suicide?" Tang San cried out involuntarily. Tang Hao's expression was serious, shouting, "Shut up, guard your heart, think carefully." Tang San's expression changed. His mental strength was too exhausted, causing this crack to appear. His father's dignity made him shiver, and he focused again. As he carefully sensed that Great Zimuru hammer cultivation technique, he immediately had a different impression. But the shock he felt didn't decrease in the slightest, instead growing stronger and stronger. "Qiaoling Pass. What did you say?" Bibi Dong resisted the weak feeling, slapping the table as she glared furiously at Golden Crocodile DouLuo and the others of the 6 great priests. Golden Crocodile DouLuo lowered his voice. "The High Priest orders you to return to Spirit City, do I need to repeat myself a third time?" Bibi Dong's ample chest heaved violently, her eyes flooded with fury. But she couldn't flare up again when facing these 6 priests. "Second priest, don't forget that I am the highest authority in the Spirit Empire." Golden Crocodile DouLuo gave a cold smile. "Impudent. Bibi Dong, don't forget that the Spirit Empire belongs to our Spirit Hall. By the rules of Spirit Hall, Elder Palace has the authority to remove the Supreme Pontiff. As priests of Elder Palace, we have decisive authority. Do you dare oppose the High Priest's orders?" Of course Bibi Dong dared, she'd never put Elder Palace in her eyes. Always in the past, she had been secretly eroding the authority of Elder Palace, and those titled DouLuo who weren't priests were basically all gathered under her. The priests also didn't get involved in affairs. It might be said that she had long since truly taken control of Spirit Hall. She had eliminated the Blue Lightning Tyrant Dragon clan, injured the 7 Treasure Glazed Tile School, selected a new 7 great clans, established the Spirit Empire. She had never expected the priests led by DouLuo to actually get involved now, to wrest away her control when she was weakest. You. Bibi Dong's breathing didn't obey her, her eyes darkened, almost fainting. Fortunately Hulina was just next to her and helped support her. Golden Crocodile DouLuo spoke coldly. Take a look at how large a crisis you've brought the Empire into. If we hadn't arrived in time today, Xiaoling Pass might have been broken by the Heaven Do Empire. If they did, our Spirit Hall would be ruined by your hands. Such a big blunder is enough for us to depose you. That the High Priest only has you returned to Supreme Pontiff Palace to reflect is already holding back. For now we will take command here, until the High Priest arrives. The High Priest is coming too. Bibi Dong forced herself to calm down. Years at the top had made her disregard the voices of others, but she absolutely wasn't impetuous. The present circumstances were unfavorable for her. Forcing herself to calm, clashing head-on with the priests was extremely unwise. Hearing that DouLuo was also coming to Xiaoling Pass, Bibi Dong's expression really did change. If there was anyone she still feared in Spirit Hall, then that was only DouLuo. Second Priest Golden Crocodile DouLuo sneered. Do you have anything else to say? Cold light flashed through Bibi Dong's eyes. Fine. I'm returning to Supreme Pontiff Palace. Nana, let's go. Supported by Hulina, Bibi Dong left intensely unwilling. The 6 priests weren't worried about her playing any tricks either, with the absolute strength of the 6 of them, they basically didn't fear anything Bibi Dong could do. Without strength, everything was useless. Even if Bibi Dong recovered her full strength, it was still impossible to deal with the 6 of them. Bibi Dong and Hulina gradually left the range of perception of the 6. The 4th priest turned to Golden Crocodile DouLuo. Second brother. Why would the High Priest not have us deal with this woman once and for all? She isn't just extremely ambitious, she... Golden Crocodile DouLuo raised an eyebrow, waving a hand to block the priest from continuing. The High Priest has the High Priest's reasons. Don't ask too much. What we have to do now is help the young miss control the Spirit Empire, waiting for her to gain full control. I'm not particularly fond of that woman Bibi Dong either, but since the High Priest won't have us kill her, we can only listen and obey. There's no need to doubt that woman's talent. Twin spirits, even I can't match her at her peak. But, as long as the young miss can complete the last trial and become God of Angels, Bibi Dong will no longer matter. When that time comes our Spirit Empire will definitely sweep the continent, completing the unification. Alright, let's get busy. Integrating the army and Spirit Master legions, restoring the defenses. Before the young miss arrives, we have to guard Xiaoling Pass well. That Tang San and Tang Hao aren't easy to deal with. We have to be careful at all times. 15-ton DouLuo's expression was serious. Second brother, won't we go raid the Heaven Do camp and make a bit of trouble for them? Golden Crocodile DouLuo waved his hand. Don't cause any more problems. Did you forget the High Priest's warnings? To us, what's most important is to preserve the foundation of the Spirit Empire. Save enough strength and wait for the young miss dispatch. We can't affect the larger situation for trifles. 6th, 7th, you go take a look at the elders. It may be assumed that they won't dare do anything unwise, but if they don't show understanding of the times, kill the chicken to warn the monkey. Yes. The priests quietly left, and Golden Crocodile also slowly got up and exited the tent, raising his head to gaze at the night sky. His heart really wasn't calm at all. He could never forget the scene from the day of Tang Hao's giant clear sky hammer. Clear sky DouLuo, what a clear sky DouLuo. Not eradicating the clear sky school back then really left behind danger. No wonder the High Priest says the clear sky school is our Spirit Hall's true enemy. There's just no telling if the last generation clear sky DouLuo remains or not. Young miss, you have to complete the final trial. As long as you become God of Angels, none will be able to stand against us. 3 days later, Heaven Do Empire Camp. Slow breathing like deep dragon cries or tiger roars resounded, dense white mist gathering above Tang San's head, forming 3 giant white flowers. It was the 3 flowers gathering above level. Even though he had exhausted himself that day, relying on his formidable physique, Tang San had only used 1 day to recover. At the same time he had also discovered that, after the extreme exhaustion, his cultivation had risen again. Pressure was like the best forging hammer, forging his body. That's why he was in no hurry to leave the Heaven Do Empire camp, and rather kept cultivating. The insides of his body was already colored golden, and even the white of the external protective energy of the mysterious heaven skill was rendered faintly golden. That peculiarly tenacious feeling made Tang San feel full of strength. So soon after he'd reached rank 93, thinking about another breakthrough was impossible, but the feeling of his body improving was still extremely clear. The battlefield was originally a place that very easily aroused a person's potential. Enormous conflict, formidable enemies, that kind of pressure was different from what he faced on Sea God Island. Especially that great Samurai hammer cultivation technique Tang San learned from his father. He hadn't started truly practicing it, but in his constant cultivation state he had constantly been mastering its surrounding areas. Only by deep understanding could it be truly used without mistakes. The faint exhalation finally ended. Tang San abruptly inhaled through his mouth and nose, swallowing all the white mist around him like a whale inhaling. The powerful suction made the air constantly echo with a series of sharp whistles. Spirit power returned to his body, Tang San's skin showed a faint luster, light roaming over his handsome face. Just sitting there, his noble temperament gave people a feeling as if unable to look straight at him. Outside the tent, Xiao Wu just raised a drapery and looked inside, alarmed by the noise. Seeing Tang San sitting cross-legged there, his whole body lustrous like gems, she couldn't help her gaze turning dull. She of course saw that Tang San's strength had advanced yet again. Tang San's cultivation growing stronger made her even happier than her own cultivation advancing. Recently, all kinds of benefits had begun to appear from Xiao Wu's tempering on the Sea God Island. After her spirit power directly shot up to rank 76, her cultivation speed had become even faster. In fact, she was once a 100,000-year spirit beast, and her cultivation speed was much faster than ordinary human spirit masters. Adding Tang San's help in all kinds of benefits from Sea God Island that now appeared, she'd instantly broken through again, and her spirit power had already reached rank 77. At the same time, after completely assimilating the power of the crystal blood dragon ginseng and yearning heartbroken red, her body had reached another level. It might be said that, in the entire Heaven Do Empire camp, in terms of physical strength, if Tang San was number 1, then Xiao Wu was definitely number 2. Even Tang San didn't know that Xiao Wu's body had also gradually separated from the range of humanity under the effect of the yearning heartbroken red, entering the god level. After completely uniting her body and soul, this immortal grade among immortal grade herbs effect had fully developed. Xiao Wu, come. Tang San slowly opened his eyes, waking up from cultivation. His eyes seemed very calm, giving people a feeling like the spring wind. There was none of the intensity from before, besides seeming gentle, there actually wasn't any difference from an ordinary person. Seeing Tang San's gaze, Xiao Wu couldn't help her heart trembling. Natural state, he had actually already reached this level. No wonder Bibi Dong had lost to him in their last 2 battles. Gee, your condition is better. Xiao Wu walked into the tent, stepping over to Tang San in a few steps. Tang San reached out and pulled her into his arms, kissing her tender face again and again. I'm already fine. I've made you worry. Xiao Wu held on to Tang San's waist, sticking her face to his chest. Gee, I feel so happy I can always be together with you. Tang San held her tighter, whispering. In order to become sea god as soon as possible, we might have to separate a while. What? Xiao Wu sharply raised her head, looking at Tang San in shock. 1 Sumeru, or MT. Meru, https://n.wikipedia.org/wiki/mount_Meru. It ends here. See you. Likes, shares, and comments anything, comments a hi. Thanks. Have a good day.